Philadelphia Eagles now rolls on. Welcome into the show. My name is Chase Senior. Coming up, a lot to get to. We're going to take a look at the new Eagles playoff picture update. And also on the back half of today's program, we're going to open up the floor and take your questions for a mailbag. I always love chopping it up with all of the real ones and our loyal subscribers. Speaking of that, if you haven't subscribed, you ain't alive. Hit that sub button right now. And while you're at it, hit that bell icon. Turn on your notifications. Therefore, anytime I publish a show like this on YouTube, anytime we go live, you will get that push notification so that you can hang out here and join us and get informed. But also, we'll be live for a watch party. Eagles Commanders on Saturday. Our pregame show begins at 4 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see all of you there. And of course, go Birds. So for those of you watching this show right now, we're recording this during our live program on Wednesday. It's important to note that on Thursday Night Football, there is a massive game in the NFC between the Los Angeles Rams, the current number 1 seed, and the Seattle Seahawks, the number 5 seed. This game has a lot of playoff implications to it because of it potentially deciding the number 1 seed and home field advantage in the conference, the NFC East, and then for the loser, a seed as far as a wild card spot goes. And these two teams met back a few weeks ago at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. Sam Darnold turned it over 4 times. The Seahawks still had an opportunity to win that game. They missed a last-second field goal. So the Rams held on, and now Los Angeles, road favorites -1, pretty much a pick 'em on Thursday, and the over-under at 42.5. So with that being said, you look at the NFC playoff picture going into Thursday Night Football. Los Angeles Rams, number 1 seed at 11-3. They've already clinched a playoff spot. The Bears and Packers, the 2-7 seed, they will meet again for the second time in 3 weeks on Saturday as well after the Eagles-Commanders game. So that will determine a lot as well. You're hoping for a Packers win because that would catapult them up the standings, and the Eagles had the tiebreaker over Green Bay. They don't against the Bears. Buccaneers leading the NFC South. Buccaneers and Panthers going to duke it out 2 times in the final 3 weeks to determine the NFC South champ. And then the 3 wildcard teams, Seahawks, Niners, Packers, and then the Lions at 8-6, Carolina 7-7, and Cowboys 6-7-1. Still in the mix, although for Dallas, pretty much impossible to make it into the playoffs. And so my playoff picture thoughts here. The magic number for the Birds to win the NFC East is 1. And if they beat Washington on Saturday, they become the first repeat divisional winner in the NFC East since 2004. Big storyline this week. I think it would be ideal for Philadelphia to get the number 2 seed if possible. You beat Washington this week. You beat Buffalo the following week. You could get yourselves in a position to get that number 2 seed, and maybe you could rest some starters in the final week of the year. Eagles Commanders, which would obviously be ideal as well. There's also a very good chance here that, factoring in the other teams around Philadelphia, that the Eagles get the number 3 seed. If that happens, you still get to host a wild card playoff game at the Link, but then you'd be hoping for an upset in round 1 to get another home game in the divisional round. Eagles do have head-to-head tiebreakers in the conference against teams like the Rams, Packers, and Lions, so keep that in mind as well. As far as some scenarios here, if the Eagles finish 12-5, Philadelphia will clinch at least the number 3 seed. There is still a scenario in which the Philadelphia Eagles can get the number 1 seed in the NFC and get home field advantage going through Lincoln Financial Field, a very difficult place to play in January, considering this fan base is incredible and the weather cold in January in South Philadelphia. Here's what has to happen. The Rams have to lose twice. The Seahawks have to lose twice. The Niners have to lose 2 times. The Bears have to lose 2 times. And the Packers have to lose once in order for Philadelphia to get that number 1 seed, while the Eagles would have to win out, and that's how they can get that number 1 seed. If the Eagles finish 11-6, Philadelphia will clinch at least the number 3 seed in the NFC. And some of the scenarios there, how to clinch the number 2 seed for Philadelphia: Bears have to lose all of their remaining games, and we'll take a look at the schedules for all these teams coming up as well. The Bears have to lose twice. The Lions, though, have to win 3 times. And then the Packers have to lose twice as well. So you look at the Eagles' remaining schedule. It's possible to run the table to get to that 12-5 record. They're 9-5 right now. Week 16 on the road against Washington. Week 17 on the road against the Bills. Week 18 could come down to a decision for Nick Sirianni. Rest his players or play his starters to try to get that number 2 seed. We'll see, and obviously some other things have to happen across the NFC landscape. The Rams' remaining schedule: at Seattle on Thursday night, on the road against the Falcons on Monday night, and then Week 18 against Arizona. The Seahawks' remaining schedule: Week 16 against the Rams, Week 17 on the road against Carolina, Week 18 on the road against the Niners. 3 difficult games there because the Panthers are pesky. The Bears' remaining schedule, another hard slate here. The Packers for the second time in 3 weeks, this time at home on Saturday. Week 17 on the road against the Niners. That'll be a big-time game in the NFC. And then Week 18 against the Lions. Whether the Lions are in it or out of it, they love to play spoiler against their hated division rivals. The Niners' remaining schedule: Week 16 on the road against the Colts on Monday night. Week 17 at home against the Bears on Sunday night. Week 18 against Seattle. That's also a difficult remaining schedule for San Francisco. The Packers' schedule from here on out: Week 16 on the road against Chicago, as we mentioned. Week 17 at home against Baltimore. Baltimore still with a lot to play for. And then Week 18 on the road against Minnesota, a Minnesota team that just beat Dallas when Dallas was facing a must-win game. And J.J. McCarthy kind of improving, and that'll be a divisional game as well. So I do want to pop up today's poll question before we get to your questions. Who do you want the Eagles to play in the first round of the playoffs? Give me a team down below in the comment section right now. Before we get to your questions, let's get to our sponsor. Today's Philadelphia Eagles now made possible thanks to our friends at Prize Picks. It's the holiday season, the best time of year for sports. Bowl games, basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while you and I are out here making decisions every day, what gifts to buy, what to eat, what to watch, there's one place where it feels great to be right. That place is Prize Picks. New feature alert: Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your lineup gets off to a hot start, you may now have the option to cash out of those winnings before the game even finishes. Is your fantasy season already over? Your team might be cooked, but with Prize Picks, you don't have to wait until next year's draft. Prize Picks lets you play fantasy football every week. Pick your favorite players and win when they hit their projections every week. No draft required. 3-pick power play. Let's go with Dallas Goedert to find the end zone. Jake Moody, more than 1.5 field goals made. And then Saquon Barkley, more than 77.5 rushing yards. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CLNS. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. All right, let's run it up. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Really excited to take all of your questions for a mailbag. And I always love chopping it up with all of the real ones and the loyal subscribers who continue to support this show. And that includes our guy, Joe Lord. $50 super chat during our live program. Let's talk about Nakobe Dean. What a boss. Give me some insight. So I had a question from a coworker earlier today. And that coworker asked me, Chase, how has Jihaad Campbell played this year? And I said, you know what, Moose? Jihaad Campbell to start the year was one of the highest graded rookies from the 2025 draft class. He was playing really well. And he was playing well in a very hybrid role. Off-ball linebacker alongside Zach Bond, occasionally used as an edge rusher. Vic Fangio would dial up some blitzes, and Jihaad Campbell would blitz from that linebacker spot. He hasn't played a lot in recent weeks, but it has nothing to do with Jihaad Campbell's play. It has to do with the emergence and the play of Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean right now is playing at an all-pro caliber level. He came back against the Giants on that Thursday night. Didn't play that much. Against Minnesota, didn't play a lot. Then he started to get more action from that point forward. And Vic Fangio has really found a great role for Nakobe Dean. And he's become such a dynamic player where he's turned into one of the best off-ball linebacker blitzers in the NFL. As always, he's always been a very smart player with a high football IQ. I mean, the guy studied engineering at Georgia, so he can read, diagnose plays, and sniff them out well. That allows him to be really good against the run, but also, as we saw against the Raiders, identify where the screen is going and attack the ball carrier in coverage. He's been really good. And for him, too, to come off that patellar tendon tear, which he suffered in January, and to come back as quickly as he did, oftentimes that can be a career ender for a lot of players. For Nakobe Dean, he's been better than ever before. Now, he's in a contract year. With him playing this well, might be hard to retain him because he's going to earn a bag. But, man, I would love for the Eagles to find a way to be able to bring him back. His pass rush grade, 92.3 this year. It's second among all off-ball linebackers. He has been such a game changer for this Eagles defense. And when you pair him alongside Zach Bond, they've been one of the top linebacking duos in the NFL, just like they were last year. Another $5 super chat from Joe Lord. Adoree Jackson has been improving. Do we have the confidence in him in the postseason with him? I'm a bit shaky on it. I think he's played really well against mediocre wide receivers across the NFL. He struggled at times against elite wide receivers. What it's really going to come down to, if you can get a pass rush with your front and you don't have to blitz all that much, while occasionally sprinkling in the Zach Bond and Kobe Dean blitz calls, you'll be fine on that back end. If you can't generate pressure on the quarterback, that's when I worry about Adoree Jackson. I will say this, he's tied with Quinyon Mitchell for number 2 in tight window throw rate forced. So he's had a lot of really good coverage downfield, just like Quinyon. And to his credit, since a rocky start to the year, he's improved a lot. But those concerns lingering for you, they're lingering for a lot of us because we've seen who Adoree Jackson has been at times throughout his career. The Thunderhounds, how can the Eagles get the number 1 seed? Is it still possible? If not, how can they get the number 2 seed? So we actually have those scenarios for you. If the Eagles win out and finish 12-5 on the year, they're going to need the Rams to lose twice in their final 3 games, the Seahawks to lose twice, the Niners to lose twice, the Bears to lose twice, and the Packers to lose once. It's possible, but it's really hard. How the Eagles can get the number 2 seed, a little bit more realistic. They have a 70% chance to get the number 3 seed. So I think they're looking at a 3-6 matchup. You need the Bears to lose 3 times because you don't have the tiebreaker. You need the Bears to lose twice or the Lions to win 3 times. Or you need the Packers to lose twice. That's how you can get the number 2 seed. Cool Rains, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Who do you hope the Eagles play in the wild card game? Man, that's a really good question. Hard to gauge. I would have confidence in the Eagles going up against the Packers. I think that the Eagles could beat the Niners, although their offense could cause some fits for the Eagles defense, even though Philadelphia's defense is elite. I wouldn't mind another crack at the Chicago Bears. I don't think the Seahawks would be a bad matchup because I think that their offense has some problems. Keep in mind, recording this during our Wednesday show. So by the time that this mailbag comes out, the Rams and Seahawks would have played, so their records will change by the time that you're watching this. But it's going to be a tough draw just because the NFC is deep and it's wide open. Kelly Wong, I know the Rams are hot this year, but I still think they have the Rams number. They have to get there, of course. What do you think? Yeah, I like how Philadelphia matches up against the Rams, especially in a big game. The Rams haven't been able to beat Philadelphia of late. You think back to week 3 when the Eagles scored, 24 unanswered? You think back to last year's divisional round when Philadelphia beat Los Angeles. You think back to week 12 of last year when Saquon Barkley ran for more than 200 yards. The Rams secondary is still a massive problem. It's the weakness on that team. And so I do think that the Eagles would be able to attack that secondary. Philly's defense would be tested because the Rams are really good, but Devontae Adams has been nursing that hamstring injury. How does Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay play in a big game? Obviously, they've won a Super Bowl together, but against Philadelphia, they've come up short. So I know they're hot, but they also haven't really played anybody, and they've lost this year as 10-point favorites against Carolina and as 8-point favorites against 8.5-point favorites against the Niners with Mac Jones back in, week 5, I think. So I don't think they're a great team. When they're playing their best, they're scary, but I think Philadelphia could beat them. And if that game is at SoFi Stadium, Eagles fans will take over the joint. It'll be loud. Matthew Stafford might have to be in a silent count. That dude Dave, 21, do y'all think the Eagles have been holding back a little bit, waiting to unleash for the playoffs? As far as play calling, I don't think so. As far as effort and the want to, I think there could be something to be said for that. You think about the Chiefs under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes during their dynastic run, which now is over. They always peaked in December, and sometimes they didn't play their best football before that. Sometimes that comes down to focus, concentration. And when the Eagles are having as many penalties as they're having, when they're missing assignments and not executing, Jordan Mailata even said it, sometimes it comes down to 1-2. And when you win a Super Bowl, your offseason becomes shortened. You're a little bit mentally and physically fatigued and tired. And the regular season doesn't mean as much. Doesn't mean that the Eagles don't care, but it just doesn't have the gravity that it usually does when you have something to prove. That's human nature just settling in. So I do think with that Raiders game, I think you saw an Eagles team that said, we have to get it together. It's the final month of the season. We have to kick it into gear. And hopefully against Washington, it carries over. Andrew Nathan, great profile picture right there. That was me reacting to the A.J. Brown touchdown. I was pumped up, screaming. Chase, Jihaad Campbell, a 2026 first and 2027 second round pick for Max Crosby. So I saw that you responded to my tweet with that, and I responded back to you, Andrew. But that was on X. For the purposes of today's YouTube show, let's discuss this. And Andrew Nathan responded to my tweet because there was a video of Max Crosby on his podcast showing a lot of love to the city of Philadelphia and to the Eagles fan base. He said, quote, true fan bases that love their city and their team, those are Eagles fans. He loved playing in Philadelphia. He mentioned going to the stadium. It was snowing, and then the stadium was kind of in the background. He said that you could really feel the intensity. And so I just joked around on my Twitter, does Max Crosby want to be a Philadelphia Eagle? I think the Raiders should trade him this offseason. I think that they should trade him and Brock Bowers, get multiple first-round picks and rebuild because there's so many pieces away from actually competing. And I think Max Crosby would be the perfect Philadelphia Eagle. I mean, a guy who plays hard, empties the tank, plays through the whistle and after the whistle, who cares about football, is very dedicated to his craft. The only thing is, it's going to take more than Jihaad Campbell, a 1 and a 2. You're going to have to give up multiple first-round picks for Max Crosby. The thing with Campbell is he's an off-ball linebacker that doesn't have the value or hold the weight that an edge rusher does. So while I would love for the Eagles to make a move for Max Crosby, he would make their defense better. He'd be a fan favorite, and he would fully tap into what this city is about to the core of us as human beings, the fabric of the city. It's going to be a fat package. Plus, he's also making a lot of money. So I just don't think Howie Roseman would make a move like that. But does Max Crosby want to be a Philadelphia Eagle? Maybe. Good question, Andrew Nathan. Appreciate that. American Eagle, one of our Super Chat legends. Hey, question, will Jane Daniels play against our Birds on Saturday? Is it possible to trade for Myles Garrett? And would Kevin Patullo walk this offseason? So Jane Daniels out for the rest of the year. That has been confirmed. And we've talked about that all week long. They're going to sit him, err on the side of caution. They don't want him getting injured again. And so Marcus Mariota will start against the Eagles in 2 of the final 3 games against the Birds. Is it possible to trade for Myles Garrett? I kind of think he's untouchable with that contract, but if a new regime comes in for Cleveland and they want to get a couple of firsts back for Myles Garrett, maybe. Will Kevin Patullo walk this offseason? I don't think he would walk. I think he would get fired if the Eagles were to move on. Big audition for him for the final month of the year. You like what you saw against the Chargers, positive steps off of that against the Raiders. What does he do in the final 3 weeks and in the playoffs? That's going to determine his future with the Eagles organization as the offensive coordinator. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks to everybody for watching the show. We love you. We appreciate you.